I'd much rather be tough than intelligent, because I think a lot of people know that if they just do what they know they're supposed to do, that voice in their head that's telling them, hey, you need to go do this, if they would just fucking do that, they would find themselves a lot better off. I think a lot of times it's in action. Now, don't get me wrong. I definitely think there's competencies and intelligence, especially like interpersonally, when you're trying to get a deal done or trying to really connect with another person. But a lot of times I feel like people know what they should do and they just don't do it.
Why do you think that is?
I don't think they know how to talk to themselves. You know, they're like, let's say I go in the gym, for example. If I didn't want to go to the gym this morning, but all I do is lie to myself. You know, I feel like we both have two voices in our heads.
We do.
We have like the little bitch voice, and then we have a grown ass man voice.
I call that the boss voice.
Do you? Okay, cool.
Or the king.
Yeah,
but,
I've made videos about this. Yeah, I definitely agree with that, because they're always conflicting. And so my goal is always to smother the child voice. And so the way I do that, particularly around working out or anything that I know I should be doing, is I just lie to myself and I say, look, I'm just going to go in there and do one set and leave. And the little bitch is like, okay, just one set and then we can go. I'm like, yeah, we can go, bitch. And then the next thing you know, you spend an hour because you get warmed up and you're like, this isn't so bad, or you start to get a pump or whatever it is. Or even if it's a work thing, man, you start to get a little progress. You're like, hey, I think we might be able to get this deal, you know, and you dig into it deeper and deeper and deeper. And I catch myself in what I call waves of momentum. So you can either use discipline or you can lie to yourself. I think discipline is very important, but I also think in some ways it's a natural resource, you know. But I'll use discipline to get into the next phase. So like, you know how it's so much more fun to exercise when you're in better shape and you look jacked?
Of course.
So I'll use discipline to get to there. And then it's like, you know, progress. Just same thing in my business. I use discipline to get to a certain point. But once we started making fucking money, well, it's, you know, your wrist never hurts when the ball's going in. You know, like when your jumper's on, you're never bitching about your wrist hurting. It's only when you're missing or you don't want to get started. So for me, I use a mixture of discipline and lying to myself to make sure that I will manipulate myself into do shit that I'm supposed to do.
So do you think people are not doing it because they're listening to their bitch voice?
That, or they're sedated.
What about they're worried about what everybody else thinks?
I can tell you, man, in my life, that was one of the biggest challenges. I grew like growing up in the South, especially like where I am now. In fact, in some ways, I think I've been overcorrecting, you know, making sure people know I don't give a fuck what they think. But I think that most oftentimes suppression is wrapped in love. So if you want to go do something big with your life, let's say, it's going to be the people close to you that are threatened by you wanting to do something bigger with your life that are going to come to you and suppress you with worried about you. Don't you think you just want to get a normal job? Don't you want to just settle down? Don't you think you want to just do this over here? That's risky out there. Well, the truth is the risk is really in the inaction, right? Like, I can't imagine my life if I was putting on a fire retardant suit today and walking into Exxon. Isn't that more risky than the risk I took to be able to sit in front of you?
Well, sure.
I'd say so.
Yeah, but people are afraid for some reason of other people's opinion, which I don't get at all. I keep telling people, like, if people would just literally forget that other people existed. I'm not talking about being a rude dick. I'm talking about just not caring what other people think. Yeah. Everybody would take more risk. Everybody would fall more often and stand up and go again. And everybody would win. So I walk around, you know, especially on my content, I try to get people to, number one, raise their self-worth. Because I think if you raise your self-worth, your net worth follows.
I completely agree with you. And I think that massive amounts of people leave greatness inside of them out of fear of what others will think. You know, and I did that for a very long time. It took me a while to get to the point where I would put myself out there, all out of fear of what people think. So I completely resonate with people that feel that way. But what I'll tell you is, once you do it, you realize that number one, people don't care about you as much as you think they do. And then number two, it's almost, yeah.
That's a bomb, folks. Better listen up. People need to understand that. Like people don't care about you as much as you think they do.
Yeah, it's very true.
Nor do people need you as much as you think you do.
Right.
You think they do.
Right. And nor do you need them.